All right. Good people, it's Monday night and it's on again, live in the Counselor's Corner. I am your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me is my co host, Herb Lewis, the Big Bad Wolf.
Oh.
I don't know why, it cracks me up every time. Good people, it's Monday night. As well as Willie A. Price Speaks. I'm sure he'll be joining, and the cool, calm, collected Christine Brooks. So I'm looking forward for them joining as well. And we may even have a solar moment also. Last week we held a very entertaining broadcast, Where Did Love Go? And we shedded light on the modern world of dating. Well, it's time to dig deep into the grab bag after some intense discussions in the Controversial Counselor this week. Here are three questions we will focus on during this broadcast. Number one, how do you make a relationship last? And what is the key to longevity? Number two, why do some women refuse to show a guy appreciation? And number three, are adults aware of our actions and the impact it has on our children? So, boy, oh boy, these are some deep, thought provoking questions. Can't wait to dive into the bag tonight. We're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. Also, don't forget to like and share this video, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. All right, so we got Willie in the studio. And Solar, what's good, Willie? What's good,
Good
Solar?
evening,
How y'all
people.
doing?
Solar here? Oh shoot!
Yeah, the sun is always shining, man.
Hi, Solar.
Hello.
Jesus,
So how y'all doing this evening?
I am great.
Definitely doing well. It's exciting to be back on with you guys. I enjoyed myself so much. I came back and I'm excited because I like the questions that you pose. So controversial.
Yeah, just some little thought provoking.
Controversial. Those aren't controversial.
I'm just gonna give him the look. I'm following Dave's lead. I'm very I'm following the big bad wolf, and I'm gonna see what these guys say. Willie, right now, you and I are like the plaintiff and the defendant, or however that I've never really had to. Yeah, but that's what we are. We're on opposite sides of the courthouse.
Mm-hmm. We will have to find out more why that is the case.
Yeah, we will. I'm sure we will.
Man, so I tell you, first day back at school with a full schoolhouse, and it was it's a madhouse, just mad. It's just kids all over the place.
Are they wearing masks?
They're wearing masks, but that don't mean nothing. They hugging and carrying on and all over each other, and I'm like, yo, y'all can't do that. And I'm like, man, I can't waste my breath sitting here. I'll be saying this all day. They just everything they was taught for the last year and a half was thrown out the window. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. That's all I gotta say. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Wow. How was everybody else's day?
My day was wonderful.
I'm sitting on a porch.
Man, you in that porch with them 18-wheelers going by, that noise is killing me.
Cheers.
My Steelers cup.
Dr. David. I'm going to put that on you, Dr. David. I'm going to put that on you. I wanted to know, how did you come up with such interesting questions from your last show, and how are you going to take us where we need to be? Because I do believe that it's a purpose in all the things that we do. And I'm sitting here with three very strong men with very strong opinions. And of course, I'm sharing this on Take a Solar Moment page. Of course, I would be remiss not to. But I really am trying to get the understanding of the year of the man. That's what I'm calling this, the year of the man. Very boisterous. A lot of men are starting to speak out about how they feel, how they view relationship, how they view just women in general. And I'm wondering, how do you guys come up with your content for what's been talked about the last couple of weeks?
Well, one thing, I reach out to each one of them and ask them, for a particular question, and sometimes stuff just comes out like throughout the conversations throughout the week in the counselor's corner. So it's like different concepts build off of concepts. So hey, you take your mental notes and you write stuff down, and we just roll with it. But the one thing I want to say, uh, this was a lot of intensity this week with the what's going on in the counselor's corner and some of the posts. Herb's laughing because hey, it was a lot going on. A lot of smoke was being brought, and people keep saying, "Oh, it's a lot of hatred in the counselor's corner," and I'm like, "What are y'all talking about? Like
Yeah.
the counselor's corner is just a platform, just like when people say blame cities for killings or schools for or that's a bad school. It's the people that it's not the counselor's corner, it's people that put out posts. And if you got an issue with them, step to them instead of taking a coward way out and say, oh, this group has a lot of hatred in it. I mean, a lot of it is not hatred. And when I try to tell them the objective of the group is talking about day-to-day situations, day-to-day things that's on your mind that's happening, which anything it covers anything. So whether you're talking about women wearing wigs and weave and all that stuff, if that's marinating on your mind and you don't like it, you speak to it. And
Right.
and people just don't understand or they don't get it. They try to use that as a fall guy. But I'll take that hit though.
They
I'll
take a
take
lot
it.
of things personal. They take a lot of it personal
Yes.
because a lot of it hit home, and it makes them reflect on themselves, and they don't like what they see.
That's good. That's good. Big bad
No,
wolf. Will you don't be quiet? What you got to say?
well,
I want.
well. First of all, the way I develop topics and come up with things is, first of all, I'll rewatch the show and I'll see what hit. I'll watch the comments and I'll say, you know what, that's a potential topic that needs to be parsed a little bit. I also follow a lot of YouTube content creators, and from them, I also develop topics and things of that nature as well. And then just from another group that I'm in, the Safe House ran by Blair, there's things in there that come up. So, I have a list of topics, probably 2 pages long, that we haven't even, touched that are always relevant. And people, like David just said, people think we're bashing. And I just posted this, and I still have to go back and check the responses. I asked this question, and it was specifically for women to respond to. I said, do you guys feel that black men are too harsh when it comes to their critique of black women? I said, either you agree, you disagree, or you're neutral. Because this is what a lot of black women don't consider. Until the advent of social media, the image of the black man was destroyed. We were considered deadbeats, criminals, underemployed if we were employed at all. None of that was good. Now we're starting to get the information that's coming out slowly, but at a steady pace, and is debunking all the stuff that has been said about black men for the last 50 years. And now that the tables are turning and the pendulum is swinging the other way, we laying it out there. And now it's called bashing. When in actuality, it's just putting the truth out there in unvarnished terms. This is what it is. This is what we want out of our women, and we're not getting it.
Be quiet. What you got?
So now that somebody said something,
Oh no, that was me trying to share the broadcast.
Okay. So now that we're laying out there that these are the standards that we have, It's called hating, bashing, everything except that we have a right to. Maybe about a month or so ago, we did a show. Are black men actually free? And what that show was about is, do black men actually have a right to speak about what they want, their desires, when it comes to their mates? And it turns out that we don't.
Nope.
We talked about cancel culture. We talked about all these things that people try and do to stop black men from speaking. They had a hit list last year, maybe year before, that they were trying to go at the black male content YouTube content creators that were black men. Just witnessed recently what happened with Kevin Samuels. And Kevin Samuels isn't bashing anybody. He's giving women pertinent information on how to behave and get a certain kind of man. But because they're resistant to change, it's viewed in one way and one way only. So that's just, just a glimpse into how I come up with topics.
Okay. All right.
Hey, Christine, good evening.
Hey, Christine.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Chris.
How are you?
Good evening.
So, how was your day, Christine? What's good with you?
It was long.
Yeah, I can agree to that one. I can agree.
But I'm here now.
All right, so we gonna make the most of this. Hey, we might as well get it underway. Who wants to? We got three main talking points. So y'all tell me which one y'all want to attack first.
Well, I talk
was
about
that
number one
second
all the
one?
time.
You talk about number one all the time?
I do. I always talk about how do you maintain a relationship, communication, something that a lot of people don't do. They don't communicate. They talk at each other, but they don't really talk to each other and understand if you talk. And I just actually had a conversation with somebody about this earlier today about, she was saying that a lot of time a guy that she's dated, she'll say things and he doesn't hear what she's saying. He'll keep doing the same thing she just told him that she didn't like him doing. And we talked about that because we were talking about communication in a relationship and how people don't communicate. And sometimes what I always say also, men think with emotion and women feel with emotion in relationships. We go by our feelings and men think about the things that we do in a relationship. So she was saying he never showed her the same feelings that she was with him. And I said, and he never will, because men are not emotional creatures. We think about what we do. We think about the actions that we take. We think about how we're going to do something. She said, but you don't show me that you, and he's thinking he is showing her because he's thinking about what he's doing. Then he's trying to do these things that he thinks is going to make her feel what he can't show emotionally. So I think communication is a big key, is talking and getting to know people. And that's why I was talking about, not even talking about, but yesterday I went out to the I went out yesterday to the to the marina. Because I see you looking at me. That's what I see you looking at me. Well, yesterday I went to the marina and had a nice evening, under $50, and had bottled wine, no boxes.
Did you have company though?
Yes.
Were you Dolo?
Yes. Yes.
Dolo. What's the definition of Dolo, Willie? What's the definition?
I'm like, what is Dolo? I have no idea what that meant.
No idea what Dolo means.
I don't either. I saw that and I didn't. I was trying to figure it out. I didn't know what Dolo meant.
I didn't know.
But I was curious, did you have a date or were you just going to swallow them 2 bottles of wine by yourself?
I did. I thought they kind of gave, I thought that the 2 bottles and the 2 glasses gave it away, but
no, because one was down.
It kind of did, but y'all
thought I was faking?
Could have been.
I'm just
He
I
fake
guess what
it.
they said. I guess what they said, Willie. They wanted to see a female hand or something.
They ain't gonna happen.
No, I don't think we want to see the hand. I think we want to see the consistency of the 2 glasses, and if it is gonna be 2 bottles, and then take away
Let's
the
see some lipstick on the
$50.
cup or something. You
Right.
know,
What?
see some lipstick on the glass or something.
Y'all don't need to see that. All y'all saw was them 2. You saw 2 cups and 2 bottles, 2 plates. That's all you need to see.
We still wouldn't get to see the person. Just a little evidence.
I think
that's evidence right there.
I think one of the most important.
It looked like a very nice date. Then
it was.
It did. But I got to ask you a question about it, because it's on the topic that we're on the question, right?
Mm-hmm.
You took a love language test. Did your love language match what you are? Are you honest? I think honesty is most important in any relationship. Like what you want, how you want it, what you going after. You could communicate and be like, "Hi, bye" all day, but honesty in your quest of love language, because you had a lot of people taking that test. Like, kudos to everybody who took the test and learned their love language. Like, I was like, can I get no more notifications? Stop taking the test. Like please, no, for real. Like,
a lot of people, they did take that test,
but not in the middle of the show. Like,
my love language was communication. My love language is communication, and I always talk about communicating and telling people how you feel. And we were out there, which was really weird. Well, funny. We went out there to watch the sunset, and we actually sat out there for 3.5 hours and actually missed the sunset. The street lights came on. We were sitting there talking and didn't even see the sunset because we were so busy talking. But it was 3.5 hours.
And romantic, Willie.
3.5 hours of conversation, and then, just hung out and just talked. And, I had you saw what I had, the little cheese and wine, and we just had a good time. So, I mean, and there's a lot of communication.
Was the dress size really like an issue, or was that just something you like to poke us with? Like, what's going on with you guys?
That's something I poke with, because the thing was, if I go for the person, if I can sit and talk to you and we have a decent conversation, then that's the first key to me. If I can't sit and have a conversation with you, that's why I don't believe in texting. I'll text initially to just make contact. But then from there, I go into just talking to the person. And actually, I just met this person at the Funk Fest. And I posted about it. I posted about it because I was introduced to her and I was standing there talking to her, but I was blocking people. So I got down on one knee so I wouldn't be blocked. Yeah, so I wouldn't be blocking people.
Yeah, you did mention that. People thought everybody stopped because they thought you were proposing.
We're proposing to her.
That's what I'm saying. What was that? Oh, man. Talk to your boy. Somebody
she should have played it up to the hill. She should have been like, You were with the right one, because I would have clowned. I would have.
It was funny. It was funny because if you could have saw the faces, she was facing me, but she couldn't see all the people behind us, and they were pointing and smiling and, oh my God, he's proposing, and I was sitting there, and then her family, which was with her, was like, they think he's proposing to you. And I mean, it was interesting. It was fun. And so we ended up talking all that day at the concert. And then I called her yesterday and we went to watch the sunset and spent another 3 hours. 3 hours at the concert, 3.5 hours at the sunset. Just talking and getting to know each other.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's communication.
So now
communication.
Counselors, may I say a word that I believe are part of longevity in relationships? I don't know how everybody will respond. Can I say a word?
You'll find out.
Sex. Intimacy, and sex. Intimacy, and then sex. Okay. I think that's a part of longevity that you got to be real about when you think about longevity in relationships. It's the intimate side, which is not necessarily beyond closeness. And then, of course, getting into what sex really is, to the activity to make it that lifelong. I can deal with it or I can deal without it, but you're still sexy to me type. I think that's a part of something that a lot of people ignore. And I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna give a one eye to our church people, because you know a lot of times in that community, no, it's no ploy, no poke, it's honest conversation. They a lot of times that's not a conversation. If you got to live saved, you omit that conversation of sex.
You know, we kind of touched on that a little bit in another broadcast.
Yeah, we did,
about the whole women being taught that, you know, they're supposed to keep this Madonna image and not like sex and you know, be pure and everything, but you're in a relationship, you're married or whatever, and the conflict it creates, and you're kind of speaking to that right now.
But it all goes back to communication, though. Again, because if you don't talk to that person and understand what they want, what they like, what they don't like, I mean, then you just down there poking around. Communication, even with the, you know, with the intimacy, you have to talk to that person to know what they want. You can't just think because you may have had sex 50 times that this person that you finally got, you know, a real interest in is going to like what it is you've been doing. They may have some desires or some things they like or don't like, or whatever the case may be. Well, you won't know that until you talk to that person and try to find out about them. That's why I said 3-hour conversation with somebody, you're going to talk about a lot of different things, and you're going to learn a lot about that person. So that way, when if you do become intimate with that person, you kind of have an understanding of what they like, what they don't like, what they may have been through in a sexual relationship, that if you did that, it may remind them of that person. So you may avoid certain things. You know what I mean? So that's where communication comes in for everything, I feel, in any relationship. Whatever it is, sexual, whatever, you still have to talk about. You still got to talk to that person. And the better understanding you have with that person, the more comfortable that person begins to feel with talking and sharing the things that they feel and the things they like and don't like, the closer you're going to be to that person.
See, the problem also with the communication piece is there's also another side to it, listening. And sometimes people dominate a conversation, whereas the other person may get very little. If they're not the most outspoken or assertive person, they may get to say very little to anything if one person is dominating the conversation. And then, you know, the ability for people to tune out some of the conversation that you think, okay, we're talking, but they're really not paying attention, listening. So that's a big part of it too. And that's one of the key things in relationships that often goes sour, where people tune each other out, or they look at it as they complaining, whining, or have something negative to say. So all of these things play a factor in it.
I will follow that. I will follow that up with saying this. There's something that a lot of people just don't really consider about relationships and communication, and that is fear of judgment. I think a lot of people aren't open and honest as they could be because they fear the judgment, whether it's from something that they've done or something that they may enjoy, but that is looked at kind of derisively among their social group or their peers. So let's say you have a guy. Let's take a guy. He likes to date plus size women. Who is he going to talk to about that without being clown?
He's not going to talk to his boys about it. He may talk to a female friend about it. He may talk to a female friend about it. He may not talk to his guys about it.
Depending on who the female friend is, he might not talk to her, because if she's on a smaller size and she's single, she's going to feel some kind of way.
But again, there's where communication comes in, because if it's somebody who he's talking to, they after a while they develop that rapport where they know what they can talk to each other about. So he may feel more comfortable going and talking to a female friend of his who's smaller or even bigger. But he'll feel more comfortable talking to them than he if he go talk to his boys, they gonna clown him. But he knows that he may have that one female friend that he says, he can go talk to and share these thoughts and try to get some feedback, so that way he knows where he's going in that relationship or how he should be feeling. He won't talk. I know he's not going. Most guys aren't going to talk to another guy about a situation like that. We already know that, but they will find. We all have female friends that we kind of hang out with, that we talk to and share things with, and they come at you and they let you know when you're doing wrong, right, Solar? And then they put you on point when you ain't doing right, so they make you aware. So.
It's not like that. I really just have been watching your post, and you like to poke the bear a lot. And when you said that you went to Tops and saw fat backs and what else, I just was like, okay, maybe somebody need to go on a virtual date with you, and I hope they got a fat back. And as a matter of fact, I want to offer you something. Like, I'm really so done with you. Like, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to send you on another date, and we're going to pay for your dinner. So that is already, and it's going to be a blind date, and you're going to go. And I want to say date, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about
it's going to be, then it's going to be
a blind date?
Yeah, you don't get to know what's going. We already got it set up. So you're going on a date.
Don't you supposed to know what kind of things I like about a person? You just gonna pick
you
out
post it all the time. You post all the time what you like and what you don't like in a woman.
Yeah. So
if there's any question, all anybody needs to do is go back and view your post.
Yeah. Okay. So I just think that that's what we're gonna do.
She can't be fat. She can't be old. She can't be aggressive. What else am I missing?
Okay, it's called. No. His cousin told me.
Little no makeup.
Thank you, cousin. Hey, thank you, cousin. What's your cousin's name? I like your cousin because she said you want a Stepford wife. Anybody know what a Stepford wife is? Perfect. What's a Stepford wife?
A Stepford wife is the quintessence.
Her put up his hand like that's my dream woman right there. There she go.
A Stepford wife is the quintessential trophy wife. Intelligent, demure, small. She fits in and she never sticks out.
Yep. And that's what I hear you want. That's what I hear you want. A Stepford wife, you. So we're gonna find you exactly what you post. Dinner will be so exclusive. It's gonna be at one of the top soul food restaurants in Buffalo, New York. You're gonna pick the date. It has to be within. It's already paid for. It's already paid for.
Right, so you can stop.
So yeah.
I don't need to see my
No, we got you so tickled, man.
No, I'm laughing at a comment in the section. You got to go read it. Yep.
Said I need one, but we know they don't make them in black. Oh, what's that about?
The Stepford wife comment.
Well, yeah. They don't make them in black, but we're gonna try to find Dave one in black with the proper dress size, and we're gonna see what is it. And I think the other part about this is, do you know what you're looking for? Because you'll be taking us on a journey, and you're a black man that is influential, so you get picked. Did you see the responses? You're responsible for a lot of what people like are feeling out there. Them ladies is like, oh my God, no! What do you do to us? What are you out there doing?
Somebody asked if anyone on the panel is married.
I was.
Have been.
I was married once.
Okay,
Can
so
be.
3
Can be. And like I said last, can be.
Look, you know what? That's what, Dave, can you ask Will why does he do that?
Do what?
Because he'll answer you. Why does he cut up?
Why does Will cut up?
Why do I cut up?
Yes.
I cut up.
Are you ready for your date? Are you ready for your date?
When is it?
Oh, he hesitated. It's all paid for. This is an opportunity of a lifetime.
See, she doing all this planning without me. That's why I'm trying to figure out, when is it? When is it supposed to be?
We're gonna pick the dates. Are you ready to go on a blind date?
I don't normally do blind dates, but we'll talk. We'll talk after the show because I got blind dates.
And I really want to know.
Blind dates are scary. I don't like surprises.
Somebody said, when the Special White's robot
especially the big surprises. I don't like big surprises. Oh, she froze up.
This is
because he's
what we working with, guys.
What? I just said I don't like big surprises.
They are the Jefferson top.
So I want to know. I want to know for whoever made the comment when they said, "Is anyone on the panel married?" So I wonder what where they're going with that.
Right. What was that about?
Because marriage is not the end all. Like you're the relationship guru. If you've been married or whatever, or you're married, that doesn't equate to like you're the all knower or something to that effect. So I'm just trying to figure out where you're going with that question.
Yeah, because the average individual in the U.S. isn't married.
Yeah, even married people have problems.
Yeah.
Some of them don't. Some of them don't talk. Some of them don't communicate.
Remember, some people in marriage because of the business aspect too.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And,
yep.
Or are you? And it's not about. I don't think it's about being perfect in any relationship. I think sometimes that people hold marriage at a higher esteem, as they should. Yet and still, I think the reason that we're having this conversation because sometimes we don't look at the foundation of what sustains a marriage, what sustains the relationship, and we don't talk about these things enough, especially in our culture. We just move on from it. We don't heal from what we've gone through in prior relationships or childhood, or even how we address what a real relationship is. I know one of the questions, how does it affect our children? You know, when you look in our community, I'm kind of jumping to that a little bit, but when you look in our community, we have such blended families, we have such blended relationships, but we don't have blended conversations about how to make it successful. You know, you went back into the classroom today, and I bet you the biggest conversation some of these families have had is like, do the kids got masks for COVID? Not how are we going to work out this shared space, or how our relationships and divorces have affected our children. Those conversations are not therapeutic as they should be. So I think the other part about whoever may have asked even about our anyone being married, I think it's about knowing when it's time to say, you know what, maybe I need to look at it a little deeper. I need to talk to some people who've been through what I've been through. I need to do something a little bit different in this process. And then you may be a multiple offender, you know, when it comes to relationships, and you're not looking at the core of why you continue to make these same choices or conversations in relationships, because you don't want to deal with the core of what it is. So I think that I appreciate these platforms, because it's kind of like, okay, we all have been through something, and now we get to talk about it, marriage included, relationship included. But does it affect our children? Heck yeah. And if more adults would take the time to do something like this, we will see something different in the classroom. I'm positive of that.
So here's something somebody said. I just see a lot of statistics being thrown out without data. I'm just wondering if people are speaking from experience. Sheesh.
What statistics? What statistics?
Yeah, no one has said anything. I think there's been a couple of, well, a lot of people think, or, you know, but there's been no specific statistics.
Hold on. No. I mentioned something about the average person in this country isn't married. That's easily verifiable. What I don't understand about a lot of people
that still wasn't a statistic for somebody to pin you down and say, you know.
No. I'm going, whoever the individual is, I'm going to call the individual out as they are. Don't be obtuse. You have a tool in your hand that allows you to go search the information that you're inquiring about. So if you want to call somebody else, start with yourself. Because we can cite statistics all day. Not even just black demographics, just marriage overall. Marriage is on the decline across the world, especially in Western cultures. So this isn't newsflash. It's only newsflash to people that aren't conspicuously clued in. That's probably you.
And let me just clear this up too. And oftentimes I get this like, oh, in the counselor's corner, we talked about the bashing and stuff. Oh, yeah, I put black women down, or yeah, I do this. It's never nothing positive, or whatever the case is. The one thing in my mind, I say we have a lot of dysfunctions in our households, in our communities. So unless we start talking about that and airing this stuff out, it ain't gonna change. You can go pray to whoever you want to pray to, and is that really working? So sooner or later, you gotta start having these
You got to
conversations
communicate. You got to
instead of
communicate.
sweeping it under the rug. So if you think everything is bashing or it's negative, then I don't know if everything was positive in this world and everything was going well. What the hell will we have to talk about? What the hell will we have to talk about? But we know it's a lot of critical things that's going on, and some of these stuff are day-to-day issues that we struggle with. And damn, luckily there's platforms out there so we can discuss this. So y'all need to let that go or whatever. If y'all looking for a Cinderella story or looking for a Disney ending, they got channels for that shit. They do. They do. They got channels for that.
David, tell us
Yes.
how you really feel.
I said it. I'm done. I won't say
Like a mad
everyone,
rapper.
some. Okay.
Stop
I'm not,
sugarcoating it. Just
yeah,
tell us how you feel.
I'm not gonna get into the. I won't say everyone, some, all, and all that stuff. If you got any type of mental capacity, most people don't never mean all or whatever the case is. So when you start using that as an argument to say, okay, you said all or you said most, whatever, you really don't have nothing you're behind your back. You're just looking for a scapegoat to get out because that's your argument.
That is so true. That is so true.
So here's this comment. So let me get something straight. It's okay for someone to post, I see why some of these females are single based on their profile, but it's not okay for me to ask if married people are speaking from experience.
Oh, see, Willie, I told you there's a responsibility that comes with what you post. I'm
But
telling
see,
you.
this is hold
I
on.
take responsibility for what I post.
But see, it's not even about responsibility. What this individual is doing, which is really very dumb, by the way, is he's challenging somebody's observations without knowing what the person's observations are. Then they want to counter with the question asking if people are married. A marriage is between two people, so it never even is about observations, because how you interact with one person in one setting is completely different from what you would do with another person in another setting. Marriages are not communal.
Yeah. I'm reading
unless
that
you happen
post
to be
what you
doing
just talked
polygamy or
about.
polyandry.
Go ahead.
Solar. I'm reading that post, and that's not what I said, though. I didn't say this is why those people are single. I had nothing to do with that. My post regarding the profile picture was regarding people wanting to go out to eat. Wanting to go out to eat for under $50. That's what and I said, I looked at the profile pictures and I realized why a lot of these people were saying they can't go out and eat for less than $50. That's what my comment had.
Kind of mean, though.
This is why I say,
Willie, that was kind of mean.
I said, this is why they talk about they cannot go out and eat for less than $50. Because I went and looked at their profile picture, and then I went and looked at the other pictures, and I realized $50. You're right, $50 is not gonna feed you.
That was not nice at all.
But see, Willie, this is what I mean by responsible. When you begin to post things like that, and you're an influential person, you open the door for people to just kind of dive in,
misinterpret.
And that's exactly, well, if that's what you're calling it, a misinterpretation or
misinterpreted, because that's not what I didn't say. This is why these people single. What I was talking about had nothing to do with them being single. I'm talking about, you're right. I agree with them. I said, you're right. You cannot go out and eat for less than $50. I agree with you. I agree with them.
But why? Come on, why? After looking at their profile picture, what was it that you saw, Willie?
I saw that $50 was not going to be enough. That's what I It wasn't like I was saying they said it.
Wait a minute, hold up, Willie.
That's not even gonna get my. That's not even gonna get my dinner. That's not gonna even get my drink. That's not. They kept saying $50 wasn't gonna feed them. So I looked at the profile picture and I said, I agree with you. $50 is not gonna be enough to feed you. I was agreeing with them. I was agreeing with what they put.
So why did
really?
Okay,
Then they get mad. They get mad because I agreed with them. I was agreeing with them. I said, you're right. $50 is not enough for you. I need what?
Willie.
Yes, dear.
But why did you include profile picture?
Because that's how I was able to determine. I didn't want to just assume because they put that that's what, I didn't want to assume. So I said, well, let me see why they're saying that $50 would not be enough to take them out to eat. And they kept saying to go out to eat. I kept saying, I said, can you take a person out for $50? That was my question. Let's say where or what to do. I was looking for ideas. I was looking for creative ideas. And what these people who I made the comment about the profile pictures, every single one of them saying, I can't go out and eat for $50. My drinks cost more than $50. All these things about regarding food. So I said, wait a minute, who are these people? So I went and looked at the profiles, and then I looked at the rest of the pictures, and I said, yes, you're right. I've looked at your profile picture, and you're right. I cannot take my beef for less than $50.
Boy, and we did have a conversation about you going on a blind date. So you just gonna go on a date. That's just what it is.
I don't like big surprises. I'm just telling you right now.
See, so body shame. And then when we talk that Frank Grill or something next year, he gonna wonder why he really up under the big tent. Or when you go back to Funk Fest, you're gonna really be up under the big tent, Willie. You're gonna be up under the big tent.
See, this the thing, whatever. Why are y'all mad at Willie's outlook and his perspective on this? His perspectives is based on maybe his experiences. So this is what he saw. So how could you be mad at the next man's perspective on what he saw? As far as that comment, $50. Why is everybody so sensitive to that point? Like if he says to do something $50 or less.
I said, can you take a person out for $50? I was looking for ideas. Yeah, you can take her to, like I said, you can take her out to the marina and get some bottles of wine, some cheese, crackers, some roasted turkey, and sit and talk and relax. So a few people gave ideas, but a bunch of people kept saying, you can't take me out to eat for that. I can't eat for that amount. That's what they kept talking about.
Can I just be honest? Can I be very transparent? Willie just happens to be the one local touchable face that looks like Kevin Samuels to me that I can touch. So it's kind of like he's on this bandwagon of men speaking up. And I'm not upset about men speaking up. I'm squashing your head. Remember Saturday Night Live? Where you used to just squash your head. So anyway, but I find it that men could tell what they dislike, but at the rate you have the capacity and the know-how to say the things that you dislike, maybe it'll be uplifting to hear what you guys do need and what you do like, whereas that's not really being trendy right now. So can you make that happen? And then maybe the dates can get into longevity if you start off like how you gonna finish off.
You might want to start with the second question about women appreciating men.
There it is.
So the question is, why do some women refuse to show a guy appreciation?
Mm-hmm.
So that was a conversation, a hot topic in the counselor's corner, and the reason I brought that up is what is it? What is it that men want? What
do you want?
Yes. What can a woman do that shows you that you're appreciated, that would lead into longevity?
Support, and peace. Support, and peace.
Mind. Peace in the house. Peace of mind.
At this stage of the game. Peace is vital.
Piece of pizza.
Nah, peace. You know what I'm saying.
Peace of mind, peace and quiet, communication, respect,
How you want to,
consideration.
that's an
Yes.
I was
oxymoron.
just
You
going
can't
to
be
say
quiet
quiet
and
and
talk at the same
communication.
damn
Help me.
time. Make up your
Quiet.
mind. You want to balance.
Quiet communication. You want
But you
quiet
know,
communication.
when a
So
guy
we
says
gonna
quiet,
sign language.
when
We
a
gonna
guy
sign
says
language.
quiet, when a guy says quiet in communication, it's like I don't want to come home and be arguing, or come home with the expectation of an argument. That's peace and quiet. That's peace of mind. You come home and you're not walking in the house and getting bombarded with some argument, but coming
So
into a house where you feel comfortable coming in and you're looking forward to coming home to that person because you know you're going to have peace of mind when you get home. And then, like I said, and then communication, because you can always talk about things that are going on or something that may be going on. But when you walk in and you get bombarded as soon as you walk in the door, and now your head feel like it's about to explode because you already had a hard day, then you come home thinking peace of mind, home is going to be peaceful, and you walk into this barrage of why'd you do or why didn't you do or did you forget
can I
to do?
ask you something? Is or
Mhm.
or any of you, or the men,
Mhm.
have you experienced that? Is that what you've experienced?
I think what
Coming
I
Miss
have
home?
in some
No.
relationships.
I'm saying coming home to being bombarded with, I don't know, negativity and problems, and have you experienced that?
When I was married, I didn't, and I'll be honest with you. That wasn't the issue with my marriage. When I came home, I nothing like that. I was glad to come home. I stayed home a lot because it was peaceful, because we talked all the time. So that was never an issue. That was one of the things we did a lot of. We could take a
There's two
road
other
trip, and
men on
that's
the
what
panel. What about y'all?
You want to tackle that, David? You want me to get it?
Oh, no, I'll go. I mean, like in certain situations, you have it, but it also depends on who you are, and that's why I always talk about know your personnel. So me, I'm not just gonna go full throttle and just be arguing back and forth. I could go to my own space, get quiet, or you can kind of. I don't have a poker face, so you can kind of look at. If you know me, you'll look at me like, he on some shit today, whatever.
Yeah.
So let me let him be. Let me let him be, and then after a while, he'll get back to his silly self, whatever. But if somebody just coming at me nonstop, no, I ain't checking for
But
that.
have you
I'm not checking for that.
experienced it?
Yeah, I have it, but it's not on no
Okay.
regular basis. It's not
Okay.
on the
And
regular
I
basis.
wasn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't trying to say it was. I
Oh
just
no.
wanted to know if you've
Yeah, I
experienced that.
experienced it, but it's not on a regular basis. And it's not so much that it's the nitpicking,
Mm.
that some people do. Like always, like damn, like you serious with this? Like I'm
So
telling you
what would
ahead
be
of time.
nitpicking? I mean,
Uh,
educate us. You are. I'm asking these questions.
Right.
What would be
would be
nitpicking?
nitpicking if you tell a woman like, man, ahead of time, this is gonna be a crazy ass work week. This is gonna be crazy as hell, and they're nitpicking about little stuff. I wish people would wash the dishes. I wish they would do this. Just little things, trying to say like, who are you talking about? Who you making reference to, or whatever the case, without saying it. Or, I wish I would get I wish I was as important as your job was, and little stuff like that. That at that time you don't need to
Throwing
hear it.
little digs in,
Yeah.
Okay.
throwing little digs,
So
and women.
are you saying that we should maybe do exactly what I'm asking you to do, is turn around? Oh, baby, I'm glad you're doing good on your job. Anything I can do for you when you get home? Honey, is everything okay? And the
No,
house is clean.
I,
Or
I, I
and
don't want you
baby,
to
the
be
dinner is
fake.
already ready. Are you, let me cater to you, baby? This is your day. Is that what we need to get back to? Is that what
But
y'all
you
No,
know what?
it has
But
to
you
be
know what?
genuine. It has to be
But listen.
genuine.
But you know what? The thing she said, if you communicated that to the guy, that these are the kind of things that you would like or would expect from him, instead of just thinking like you just did and said, well, he should do these things. We're not thinking that way. We're waiting for some indication of what it is you want from us. Because I told you, men are thinkers. So if you said those things to him, now he has an idea. Okay, these are going to be the things that she's looking for that's going to make her day when she comes home. But to not say it, and then you come home and the house is a mess, and then now you're aggravated. And then he wondering, why are you acting like, why are you blowing up? You know, oh, the house is a mess. And then, oh, okay, well, you know, now I know, but you already aggravated. You're already aggravated because you think with your emotions that he should know. We're thinking, well, what does she want me to do? So this way we don't have to have these arguments. So she's not upset when she comes home. So if you vocalize that to him now he knows. Okay, so all right, I'm looking around the house now because I know what you're expecting. I'm looking around the house. Okay, let me make sure I clean up. Let me make her dinner today when she comes home. Let me go grocery shopping and then she can make dinner. Let me take something off of her because now I know these are things, come to the things she's looking for. But if I don't know, if you don't talk to me, again, communication, if you don't communicate with me what your feelings are, then you're always going to be upset because I don't feel what you feel. I only think about the things you feel, and then I react to them. I respond to them.
For me, I'll use a situation that occurred recently with me and another individual I'm talking to. There was a discussion that we were having. In the discussion, there was a comment made by the individual, and the way I responded to it caused an issue within the individual. Unfortunately, we weren't able to communicate on the phone. We were doing it via text, and I realized that it had the potential to go awry, and it did, and it caused some disharmony in the relationship. So the one thing I communicated to this individual was that, look, if I say or do something that causes you to feel a certain way, I don't need you to hold on to that. I need you to bring it up right then and there, because a lot of people, male or female, they will take a slight and they will hold on to it till this other individual does something, and then they'll bring it up. That's a problem because you're expecting somebody to remember something that they did, whether it may have been intentional or unintentional, and you're trying to use that to say, well, if you did this, then why can't I do that? And that almost comes across as the tit for tat. If we're going to be adults in relationships, then certain things need to be addressed immediately. That doesn't matter what your gender is, what type of relationship you're in, whether it's a work relationship, a consensual sex relationship, or a long-term or short-term relationship. There are certain things that need to be addressed, and when those things aren't addressed and they're held on to, it always disrupts the fabric of the relationship. This is why the adage exists. That was a straw that broke the camel's back. Well, if every time you put a straw on somebody's back and they took it off and say, don't do that, this is why, straws will really accumulate to the point where they have the propensity to break somebody's back. And I think that's what we need to actually understand. And I'll relate this into how we don't teach our kids. We don't teach our kids how to resolve conflict. So now we see a plethora of girls getting into fights where we never saw this before.
Oh, speaking of that, we had a fight today. Girls, first day of school, fighting. First day of school, fighting. And you know how their mothers tried to solve it? They said, I guess when the assistant principal talked to them, they said, oh, they've been he said, maybe y'all should get together and communicate. And they said, oh, we already talked about this many times. They've been going at it since the 3rd grade. So the hell. So I'm not interested in talking to the other parent because of that. I'm like, wow.
Wow.
Generational stuff.
That's crazy.
Right.
Can I answer something? What's her name? Muslima DST. She has a question here. Women are emotional beings and we do communicate via emotions. But then she goes on to say, so are you asking for the woman to, So you're asking for the woman to communicate both logical and emotional? No. But what I'm saying is that if you say to the communication, if you say to that man, it would really help me or make me feel better if when I came home, the house was clean, or if sometimes you made dinner when I came home, that would really help me and make me feel better. Then I'm not coming home from a stressful day and walking into this and feel like I got to now come home and take care of the house. That's communication. You're not. It's not logical. It's going to be logical to the man because now you said it, and now it's in his brain that this is what I need to do. This because we're always trying to think of how we can make you happy, but we're thinking of how to make you happy. We're not emotional, so we don't feel and think the same way that you think. So by saying, it would really help me if when I came home from work that I didn't have to clean the house or cook dinner all the time. Some of these things would really and then that would make me feel better when I come home. Now I know. So when I come home, I may beat you home and cook dinner. May come home and make sure the house is straightened up. So that way, when you come in, it's peace. You're coming into our peaceful home, a clean home. All the things that you've mentioned to him, said to him, vocal, communicated to him, and you see that he is listening because he's done it. And now you feel better. Your emotions are going to be better because now you say, oh, he does hear me. He does appreciate me. He is concerned about me coming home and being happy when I come into the house and not feeling stressed about coming into a junky house.
So
Let me jump in here, Willie. Hold on, Christine. Let me hold on. I want to read something. This is proof positive that women don't comprehend what's being said. Women actually.
Oh, wait, hold on. You said
Who is saying this?
you gotta say some
Is
women.
this you?
No. Hold on. I'm going to read the comment. I said that for a particular reason.
Oh, this is somebody's comment?
Speak.
I'm just looking for it.
Yes.
No, he's responding to somebody's comment.
I'm looking for the comment he's reading. You said this is proof positive.
No, he made that part.
That women don't listen.
Okay.
He added that part. Now
I did say that.
Okay. Oh, that wasn't part of the comment.
No.
Correct. Women actually speak every day. Women actually speak every issue on their heart. If you're an excellent listener and can follow context clues, you'll never have a problem keeping her happy. This is just what Willie spoke to. Speak in concrete terms. Stop trying to have a man read your goddamn mind.
Ooh-wee.
Okay.
How about that for a solar moment?
Dang, bro. Well, I mean, well, why don't you? I was this. Well, why don't you tell us how you really feel?
Right.
No, I just did.
Don't hold that. I really think you need to let things out. So my question was going to be, I still didn't really hear what it is that you all want to see that shows appreciation. I get what you're saying about what brings peace and longevity into a relationship, being able to come home to a peaceful house. But what is it that you gentlemen feel like a woman can do that shows you that they appreciate you? If you're in a relationship, what is it that a woman can do that shows you that you're appreciated, that she appreciates you?
One of the things is consistency. Like when it's bad, you don't have to say, okay, I'm done. Anything to do to help you and make things easier, I'm not doing anymore. You're gonna be consistent throughout. You're not like gonna say, well, I'm not dealing with it, because sometimes guys don't have that luxury. If we all in with you, we still gonna try to support you and back you or whatever the case is. It's just not like, okay, I'm done. Sometimes some women get petty and they support you one minute when things are going good, but if as soon as something turns sour, they don't have that fortitude to say, oh, I'm gonna stay with it. Now they just, they not really messing with you like that. So be consistent. Be consistent and know that there's gonna be some bumps in the road. I'm not gonna do everything that make you happy. You're not gonna do everything that make me happy. But hey, we still got to be in it for the long haul if that's what we're trying to do.
To answer Christine, To answer Christine's question.
Okay, go ahead.
To answer Christine's question, what it is this. You're asking how do you show? For men, it's not necessarily an action so much as it is
No,
a
I
display.
said, what do you do? So it doesn't have to be
Hold
an action.
Right. Sometimes what you don't do means more to us. Like Willie was saying, if you say something to us once, we're pretty good at picking up something. Don't leave your clothes here. Don't do this. Those are direct commands that we will respond to. And we will be more than amenable to do that because we know it brings you satisfaction. The same way that not nagging, brings us satisfaction. That's what Willie's saying when he says the things that he said. It's not so much what you have to do as a woman. You don't necessarily have to always cook. You don't necessarily have to always clean. You don't necessarily have to utter words of affirmation to the extent of I love you or do this. Sometimes it could be opening the door. Oh, I have my hands full. You open the door. Thank you. Those things, the little gestures, go so much farther than anything else that you can do that sometimes they're just overlooked. It's just like, okay, well, I just opened the door. Or, okay, I just washed the dishes. Okay, I just made something to eat. Or, you know what? Let's look at it like this. Let's say a woman just gave birth. She's home from the hospital. She's tired. Husband hears the baby crying. He says, you know what, babe, I got this. What do you think that woman's going to feel?
I wouldn't know.
Appreciate
Why? Why?
Because that took, and I'm glad it's good segue, because that took a load off. That helped her meet what she needed to be. That showed that they were connected. So somewhere along that nonverbal communication worked. So at the rate he can go take that load off and she can rest. Hopefully she pumped. If she breastfeeding, they screw. But that really shows the appreciation from him. It shows the woman that I appreciate you doing this. You gave life, you gave birth, you exhausted yourself, and I appreciate you by going to get the baby. And she's looking like, man, I appreciate you for not requiring me to get up. I think that that's a good happy medium. And if I may just interject where you are, I think something that we all need to look at is, and we talked about it a little bit, but I think people receive appreciation according how they receive love and how they love. So when you know in the language of your partners, I think that that's another way. Like, for instance, if your partner isn't all emotional or touchy-feely, you're not going to give them a massage to show you appreciate them. That's not what you're going to do. You might cook them a good meal. So I think that plays a part in knowing who it is that you're with and how you're with them. Yeah, showing appreciation. It's what does appreciation look like? It looks like a mirror image of what you want someone to do for you, which is, this is what I want to be appreciated. And then the same way, you got to see what it is that they want. So to the question from Muslim, DST.
But the question was for the men. I see what they're saying. What does appreciation look like for the men? We're talking more so about the women. But
no, I was talking about both. I'm talking about both. I think that it's a balance.
Okay.
But the reason I was asking and pointing it toward men, number one, the topic was why do women, refuse to show men appreciation?
Yeah.
Refuse to show a guy appreciation, right?
Right. So since that was a topic, I wanted to know, what does appreciation look like? What is it that
exactly
we're
that's what I
not
was just
doing
saying.
That makes men feel like women refuse to show appreciation in the conversations, in the counselor's corner.
Well,
it was a lot about would you take a man out to dinner? Would you take it out and pay it for it? Somebody's got something going.
Somebody's feedbacking. Somebody's feedback.
Yeah,
So anyway, but that's what would in the counselor's corner, when that was brought up, most of the subject was about would a woman take a man out to eat on her dime? Would he not out to eat? Would a woman take a man out on a date on her dime?
yeah, and some women said
So, but
absolutely not.
nothing that any of the three of you have said has been anything to the effect of her taking you out and spending her money. So this is a little confusing to me.
Can you repeat that?
Listen, in the counselor's corner, when this topic was brought up, it was brought up in relation to, would you take, as a woman, would you take a man out on a date at your expense? So I asked the question here tonight, what does appreciation look like to you? And nothing any of the three of you have said is on the lines of what that conversation was.
It's different
Well,
based on your love
yeah.
language. I'm not a materialistic person. So you taking me out to dinner, that's appreciated because it shows that you're not selfish. That's how I look at it. You're not a selfish person. It's not all about everything we do. I got to be the one to pay for it and do it. If you're saying like if we're doing different things and you say, well, I want to take you out tonight, or I want to take you to a movie, I want to do whatever it is, and you're planning a date, I appreciate that. I appreciate that because now I see that you're putting the thought into it and it's your plans. So now I'm looking at what you're doing. I say, okay, these are the kind of things she likes. So then again, I'm thinking. So now the next time we do something, I'm going to do something along those lines because now I know that's what you like. I know those are kind of, you know what I mean? There may be something that you said, let's do this because it's something you were interested in that we've never done.
Okay.
So now I see that, and then I can plan around that because now again I'm thinking, okay, that's what she likes, and so now I'm going to start to do things around that if I'm concerned about showing you that I do want to be with you and appreciate you. It may not make a big effect on me that you did it because I'm not a person like I don't like I've had people buy me jewelry and things like that or bracelets. I'm not a material person, but if you gave me a card, or if you just told me, you know, you really appreciate the fact that I listened to you and do things with you, or I took you to the park and we watched the sunset, things like that, those things, and then I'll do more of it because that's what I'm looking for. I'm a communicator. So if you communicate that what I did for you, you liked and you enjoyed it and how it made you feel, then I'm thinking, okay, what can I do? What can I do next to make her feel more like that again? See, so I'm a communicator and a thinker. Now, some men might say, I want her to give me some gifts, or again, that's that love language thing.
And see, and that's the thing. I think with some people, when that post was presented in the counselor's corner, some women was like, pretty much, hell no, they ain't taking no man, they ain't paying for anything. And you like to, as a guy, you like for a woman to say, oh, don't worry about it. You always pay. You always do this. I got you this time, or whatever the case. Or a random gift like, I just appreciate you because you always do this. You always do that. So I know that you like this. So I decided to get this for you. You don't got to give me nothing in return. So now you're looking at them differently than someone like, nah, I don't do that. I don't do that. Yeah.
Hey Dave, this is going right here. Hey Dave, this is going right here. When you take them out and they say, well, you know what? Let me pay the tip. Something that small. Let me pay the tip. Let me leave the tip. Something that small, I'm like, oh, that's cool. You know, and it may not be, it's not a big deal, but it shows that, okay, you don't always have to come out with everything. Let me help out. Let me pay the tip. Let me take you out next time. Let me get the popcorn at the movie. It's the little things a lot of times. And somebody, what's this say? If you actively listen. But again, Judy, that's communication. That's what we're talking about. You can't actively listen if nobody's talking. They have to be communicating with you, and you got to communicate back to them so that way they can respond. Communication is the key.
Another thing I'll add to that is this: are you an asset to your man, or are you a liability? Do you
Ooh.
increase his peace,
Ooh.
or do you take from it?
Ooh.
Can you help him build, or are you gonna help him destroy? If you can answer yes to two of those threes, you're probably in good condition. If you can't, you're probably not. Those are
Oh.
self-explanatory. They don't need much parsing.
So BGS, he said black women love languages clinged on. So could you elaborate on that? Sam?
In other words,
Why you post?
black
Why did you put
black
that mess up there?
black women like to be controlled physically.
Mm.
They want to be dominated. This is why they deal with a certain some deal with a certain aspect of men. We often hear about the Pookies or the Ray Rays. They tend to gravitate to them because they like that masculine presence. They like that domineering aspect of a man. This is what he's talking about when he makes that statement.
Okay. Different lingo. I
Is that what you mean?
That's not what I would have got from it, but okay.
BGS, is that what you mean? No, because
That what you
that's not what
mean?
I got from
I
it.
don't think so
I
either.
just got means that were confusing as hell.
I listen to the man. I'm telling you what he means.
I'm not doubting you. I'm just asking him, is that what you mean?
Yeah, we need to find out the true meaning of Klingon.
Hold on, wait a minute. Hold on.
That's from Star Trek.
Correct.
Right.
I was getting ready to say, if you've ever seen male and female Klingons get together in their mating ritual, what do?
I don't remember.
They cling.
You know a little something, Christine, because you knew it was from Star Trek.
Oh, they fight?
They fight?
Who fight?
Physical aggression between Klingon women and men is a sign of affection.
Oh, that's what's up. No, I'm just joking.
Oh, that's what's up. I know that.
Who said love language had anything to do with color?
No, love language.
I mess with John tonight, bro.
Who said that? Where'd that come from?
I don't know, but no, love language has nothing to do with color. Whatever color you are, you need to learn your love language.
Love
Red,
language.
purple,
Exactly.
black, and white. You are precious in the sight. Love your love language, people of the world.
That's right. I love mine. I found mine out. I love my love language.
He feeling good too.
Hey, just so you guys realize, when he said that, it was when BGS says that, it's a tongue-in-cheek joke. He doesn't literally mean that. At least about all of them.
Huh?
I pretty much took it as that. What was the last question? I don't even remember.
About chillings. Are adults aware of our actions and the impact it has on our chillings? No, a lot of them don't, because they start them bonnets off at home and they send them to school. Bonnets, pajamas. That's why there's dress codes in school. Them eyelashes.
I don't know how to spell my name. I don't even know how to write in cursive, okay?
Matching bonnets to go with their outfits.
Period.
And their house shoes outside. Mm-hmm.
Period, fool. Period,
all
fool.
learned in the home.
Okay.
Learned in the home.
Okay.
I'm still waiting for the part that is negative.
Well, let me ask you this.
It's a
have
joke.
you seen? Have you seen?
I got it. When she said it, I got it. It's reality so much that it's like, wait, what? That's not normal. Like the things that we see are normal, really. Like I got that one. I picked up what
Have
you
been to
Walmart? I really think. I think that after being in the classroom,
what did you say? What event was that you went to that you was like his bonnets and booties hanging out and stuff?
Everyone of them.
That's not normal.
Well, Monique put it best.
It's becoming normal.
We shouldn't be making
extra
our bonnets.
medium leggings.
Yeah.
Oh,
and you got to have the belly out back here. You gotta have your belly gotta be out back here. Willie,
In the front too,
Fat
looking
back
like
and
Dora
pork
the
belly.
Explorer.
look at
Fat back
it.
and pork belly.
I told you.
That's
Willie
only in the
had
supermarket. That's only in the supermarket. Fat
only
backs and pork
belly
bellies.
and fat back. That's what you said. Your belly gotta be out back here. It's horrible.
Herb, I'm gonna need you to breathe, okay?
Yeah.
Just breathe, okay?
The problem is nobody holds them accountable or says anything, so people think it's okay to
Yeah,
do
it's
it.
okay.
So they
Yeah.
just do it, and that's just like I always say to myself: people don't have good friends nowadays, because
No.
when you go
They
back in our
sure don't,
days,
because I know
if
I
you
had my
yeah
skirt on backwards and didn't nobody say a damn thing. Anyway, just joking.
yeah,
I would have told you.
and that's real.
I would have been like,
Back in our
"That's
days, people would call you out on certain things.
Exactly.
Now people just let. I don't know if they're looking to one up you and say, "I want you to look like a clown," so that means it's brownie points for me or whatever the case is. But people don't have good friends like that anymore.
I don't know. We only wear
Not
bonnets
only
to the
that,
shower in my house.
not only that, but that gives us a false pretense for our children of what a true king and queen is or should
Exactly.
be.
Right.
And I think that that's the biggest thing. We walk around and we already greet on our level like, "Hey king, hey queen," and we own in something, or we maintain in something, or we in this something, or we over something. And now they're building this relationship status, and they like, "Hey king and queen," and they like, "We living out our car. We ain't got no car. No, we got a house. No, but we
Thank
a
you.
king. We have no," and we have created a false pretense of whether your melanin makes you royal or not. And it's not a melanin that makes
No,
you
it's
royal or not.
not.
It's a mindset. It's the work
Exactly.
ethic that makes you royal or not. And I think if anything, what has happened with our culture or with our relationships is it created a false pretense of what it really takes to have a kingdom, what it really takes to have a bigger picture. And yeah, so when we think about how it affects our children is jacked up because they think there's something that they're not willing to live up to being. And that's
And
jacked up.
there's no communication in the homes either. There's no communication.
So
Somebody came to me the other day and was saying to me, "You need to stay in Niagara Falls." And I'm like, "What do you mean I need to stay in Niagara Falls?" And they were like, "You need to stay in Niagara Falls." And then they went on to talk about the STD rate and the shootings and all these other things that's going on in Niagara Falls that you really don't hear a lot about. And I'm like, okay, but they were
why
talking
should you be there?
because I do my programs here. I do my programs, and I work with a lot of those kids and the schools, and I get so many people fighting me about my programs, and that's some of the things we talk about: sexual awareness, self-esteem, hygiene. We do a lot of things with them, but then we do entrepreneurship, introduction to the stock market, real estate, showing them how to start businesses and make money too. But they had been hearing about my program, and they kept saying, "You need to stay in Niagara Falls and work with these kids." And I had to think about it because I've been trying to get out of here. And so I've really thought about it. And it's because, like I said, a lot of things that I'm talking about and a lot of things that should be basic stuff like hygiene, they're not learned at home. Something that simple. I went to a rec center and I gave out hygiene kits, and the people was thanking me like I gave out like free food or something. They were thanking me like the counselors was thanking me. But I'm like, okay, y'all work with these kids every day. Why didn't y'all bring in some hygiene kits? And I
Because
mean,
they
just
got the resources.
basic hygiene, basic nutrition. If they're not learning that at home, they're not learning sexual awareness at home. They're not learning, how to protect themselves and be safe. They're not getting those things at home. And so when we talk about our adults aware of the actions and impacts on our children, a lot of them aren't, because you have mothers. I met a kid, one of the kids in my program said he had 9 brothers and sisters, and his father had like 9 kids, but they were all by his mother. He had 9 brothers and sisters, and they all lived around Niagara Falls, different mothers.
God damn.
So
Oh,
and so so think about that influence on him. There's no stability in that home. He's not seeing stability because he has a father that says, okay, you got 9 brothers and sisters that you know about. Now there's only one high school in Niagara Falls. Those kids end up going to the same high school. Imagine he find out he dating his sister. Or she dating her brother.
Terrell Owens.
You got all these. Those are the kind of things you have to worry about when you're not doing things and working with your kids and making them aware of your actions. Having unprotected sex. A kid get pregnant now and they throwing a big party and getting gifts and all this other stuff. What they call bridal shower, baby showers, and all this celebration. And where's the baby daddy? Nowhere to be seen. He already gone because he's not being held accountable because the father in that household was never held accountable. So you have these revolving doors of young girls having babies, the mother have babies, the grandmother have babies, and none of the men are being held accountable to be in that household. Remember when we grew up as young people, we watched shows and a girl got pregnant. She was sent away. She was sent out of the school to a girls' school. And sometimes they were even forced to marry that man that got them pregnant. None of that stuff happens anymore. None of that happens.
Do you think that was ever healthy? Do you think that was a healthy solution?
It deterred a lot of people from getting pregnant. It deterred a lot of them from just having sex like they do now. And like I said, it wasn't healthy because you were forced into a situation. But if you knew that could be the response of you getting that girl pregnant, you're gonna think 3 or 4 times before you get that girl pregnant. But now you get her pregnant, you go about your business. Nobody's holding that boy accountable. Nobody's making him step up to the plate. His mother might step up to the plate. His mother might come in, that's my grandbaby, and I'm gonna help take care of the baby. But the boy off somewhere else, and then she goes and she meets another guy.
I get what you're saying. I just don't think that those were healthy solutions.
Well, let me say this, Christine.
No, I'm not saying that they were, but it was a deterrent. I'm not saying it was a healthy solution, but it deterred people from just jumping around what you see now.
Right.
You know what I mean? It deterred sometimes because if you knew that could be your the rest of your life being married to that person, you're gonna use a little precaution. But right now, these kids, there's no outcome of consequence. Thank you. I didn't think of the word. There's no consequences for you getting the girl pregnant. So you walk around and you have a father that's got 9 kids all over Niagara Falls that they know of. Because there's no consequences. And what they do, take him child support. So what does he do? Quit his job. Because in New York State, they don't do nothing. So now he quit his job. So he's sitting at home. He don't have to take care of kids. Or he work under the table. He hustle whatever he do. And he make a little money. He buy him some sneakers for the kids he like. The ones he don't like, he don't do nothing with. No accountability, no consequences, no responsibilities. And so when kids see that, why would they feel responsible when they got a girl pregnant? Or why would they feel like I should get married to this person? Or even think about the thought of marriage if they've never seen marriage? Or a stable household? Or a stable relationship?
It's a vicious cycle. And I've said this once before, and I'm going to say it again. It's probably going to cause some consternation, and I don't give a damn. I've never met my father. Okay? My mother just passed last November. But the one immutable lesson that my father taught me was to never deal with a woman like my mother. Love my mother to death. I'd do anything for her. She had 11 kids, 11 different men. Okay? I broke that cycle because I didn't deal with a woman that my father did. Far too often, these kids aren't told, don't do what I did, whether it's the mother telling the daughter or the father telling the son or the mother telling the son or the father telling the daughter. Because I said it earlier, because everybody's concerned about their public image. They would rather have a good public image than to give their child some pertinent information. So that child walks around ignorantly and does the same shit, end up in the same way, and then they wonder why you have 2 or 3 kids, 2 or 3 generations, on public assistance. Do you wonder why the same mother that had problems in high school, her daughter is having the exact same problems in high school, or the father and the son. That has to be broken. It has to be destroyed, or else we're going to continue in this downward spiral that we call Black America.
And I think oftentimes that people may minimize the issues that's in the Black community because if it's not directly impacting them, or they remove themselves from that impact, that it doesn't bother them. So therefore we have all these different situations where people feel like, well, hey, I work good, it ain't my immediate family, I'm going to do my thing. And I think a lot of people have turned themselves towards that. Like if it ain't impacting the people that I love, my close loved ones, I don't care what the hell goes on. Yeah, and they keep it moving because of some of the ignorance from other people. We got a serious problem. We don't, to be honest, I don't know who has the solution for it, but it's real. So that's why I like to talk about the dysfunctions, because I know it's there.
And it needs to be talked about.
Yeah,
that's true.
in earnest.
Talked about a lot.
In earnest.
Because I mean, and like Dave, with you working in the schools, with Solar working in the schools, with me working in the schools, being around these kids, we see the effects of all the dysfunction. You know, coming to school with no food, no clothes, no socks,
no safety, no security,
exactly, no hygiene, all the things, and you're no longer just a teacher. You're a caretaker. You're doing all the counselor. You're doing all these different things, but it's not happening at home. So you're helping the kid in school, but he's going back into that same environment where he may have little brothers and sisters or older brothers and sisters, and they're all going through issues. And I mean, it's a lot, man. It's a lot. I feel so bad for some of these kids, man, when I sit and talk to them, and just some of the things they talk about, things that I never would have imagined going through as a kid. And I moved out when I was 16 years old. And I didn't have as tough a time as some of these kids that I'm talking to. And I moved out when I was 16.
And that's what I always say. They always ask, like they come up with these different programs at school and they dump all this money. And I say to myself secretly, y'all wasting y'all damn money. Because the only way you're going to really impact if that money is going toward those
into the home,
certain communities and homes, whatever. Long as it's in the school, And you
got to work with the entire family. You have to work with the entire family. You can't work with just the kid. Because think about it. If I'm just working with your child and your child is getting a better understanding of himself and the things he wants to do in life and just getting his height, whatever, getting himself together, self-esteem, whatever, but he's going back home to an environment that has none of that going on, it's defeating the purpose. It doesn't stick, or they start to shun him, mistreat him because now you think you better. You think you're better than us. So now you're getting this mistreatment from home because you're trying to be clean and get an education and try to do something better for yourself. So now you think you're better than the rest of the family. So now you go through an abusive situation at home.
Yeah, it could be something as small as a kid earns a gift card or something from school, and he goes and he shows his mother like, man, I got this from school. I get an opportunity to buy this or that. Oh, how much is this? And they use it for something else. And you find out so what did you do with your gift card or whatever? I gave it to my mother and she ended up buying this, whatever. So you imagine how that demoralized the kid or whatever the case is. So because like Willie said, he's learning something from the school, but then when he goes back into that environment,
it's a completely different lesson.
It changed. So I keep saying they keep pumping all this money for these programs in school, but they still got to go home.
They got to go home.
They still got to go home.
Yep.
I'll tell you this.
Nothing.
I'll tell you this. When I ran for the school board here in the city of Niagara Falls some years ago, because the truant officers weren't doing their jobs, I said, this is what you should do. At least this is what I would suggest. Eliminate the truant officers. Take that money, bring those parents, and put them in school right alongside their kids. So you know that both of them are learning. Because we have some parents in this city that are poorly educated themselves. So when the parent is poorly educated, guess who's going to turn out? Guess who else is going to turn out to be poorly educated? Yeah. That kid that's underneath their roof. Years ago, former Mayor Vincentello just passed. Hopefully, his family is doing well. I had a meeting with him at Starbucks, and he said something to me that stuck with me. And I wanted to fight. I wanted to really vehemently disagree with him over it, but I couldn't. He said the worst place for some of these kids is in their parents' homes, and that hit me like a Mike Tyson left hook. I was just like, I couldn't say anything. What could I say? Because he was absolutely correct. These kids get negative reinforcement, just like the story that Dave told. They get negative reinforcement when they do something well, or when they do something bad, it's not punished. So you're sending the incorrect message to your kid in terms of what they should be striving to do and achieve. So when that message is constantly reinforced that if you do bad, it's not a problem, but if you do good, you're going to be ostracized, clown, and called an Uncle Tom, and you could be made to sit over there with a dunce hat. Kids don't want to be ostracized. Kids want to belong, and it takes an extremely tough kid to withstand all that and come out shining.
So I know one of the questions was in regards to that. How has the actions in your parents or elders in your family negatively influenced you? And I'll say for me, I would say for me, my father, he was an intelligent guy. He was smart as hell, but he got tangled up into drugs, whatever. It caused like a vicious cycle. So he wasn't always the best father he had 3 sons and a daughter. So what it taught me is I wanted to do better than he did, and I didn't let certain circumstances dictate what I did, because I could have took on the images or the stories I was taught from people when they realized I was his son. They would say, I already know who your father is. Oh, he was the baddest motherfucker it is. He did this, he did that. He whooped my ass all the time. Okay, that's cool and all that, but that's really not what I'm aiming for. I wanted to use his intellectual ability that I gained and try to do something and try to impact the world. He could have did that, but circumstances prevented him from doing that. So that's one of the things I learned myself. Like, I don't want to go out like that, whatever. I want to be better. I want to have a better influence on the world, because he was capable of doing that. But he didn't do it in a positive way.
Yeah.
I'll say this much. Despite what I just said about my mother really was a very good influence on me. Didn't smoke, didn't drink. The only thing my mother loved to do, drink her Pepsi and play cards. She'd take your money, didn't matter who you was. Card shark boy, like I've never seen. But I mean, I also grew up around a lot of males. 8 boys, 3 girls, and even when I was in foster homes, I was surrounded by men who were men. So I rarely ever was exposed to situations that were bad. So I always say, despite the stories that a lot of people hear about the foster care systems in the respective states, I was fortunate. I benefited from being in some good homes, from being around some fantastic men, and having a group of brothers that are still with me today. I think my oldest brother is 65, 66, I think. So, we're still all around. I actually should be in Vegas now, but I got caught up in some other stuff, couldn't make the trip. But, we hold each other accountable. And I think That's the one thing that separates us from a lot of other families. You know, the way we grew up, it binds us. You know, and there's literally, I say, there's nothing that's going to come between us in this world. You know, in order to come between us, you're gonna have to try and kill one of us. That's just, that's just the way it is. We have our family spats, as most do, but when push comes to shove, we there for each other. So I'm blessed in that manner.
You know, I know you guys are talking from a male perspective, but I was raised by a father. You know, my mom is active in my life, but my dad really raised me. And so I saw a lot of the things that he took on as that masculine side. And it did affect the way I looked at a lot of things for many years in my life, bringing that masculine energy into relationship, because that's what I learned from, or bringing that just overall. Not saying that I'm not feminine or didn't love men. It still was that demeanor that I was raised to see. And I really think that a lot of things that we do as parents, we do affect our children. So when I'm listening to you guys, I'm like, you know what? I really was. I have two moms. So each one of them, one taught me education is everything. One taught me, how to make sure you're dressed and put together well. So it's like all of those things influence, but I just don't look like, and I tell everybody this, I don't look like what I've been through. And a lot of times what I've been through is what I was influenced to go through. I'll say it like that.
You know, just to follow what you say, Sola, this is why we past shows we caught so much flack, or at least I did, when I would say that once boys hit 10 or 11 or 12, they start to enter into puberty, send him to his father. The same thing applies to girls. When they start to hit that change of life, they should go to their mother so they learn all those pertinent and necessary lessons that they will need to turn them into a well-rounded woman. There's nothing wrong with your father giving you the lessons that he did, but it retards your growth in terms of being a woman.
Definitely had to do some recuperating and stuff. Yeah, it's true.
Well, I grew up. I raised myself. I guess I can claim that one, huh?
Stop,
I raised
Willie,
myself.
stop.
I was a community child. My father was very abusive to my mother, so we left him when I was 5 years old, and basically we lived with my grandmother. Then my mother finally got a home, and eventually then I had a stepfather who I always call him a stepfather, but he never married my mother, but he was the person who taught me real estate, because he always saw that I was out hustling, selling fruit at a fruit stand, selling newspapers, washing cars. I was always trying to do things to make money, but I didn't like him. I didn't appreciate him. I didn't want him, because I was considering myself the man in the house. You come into the house, and I'm 11 years old. I've been the man in the house for 6 years. You come in and want to give some directions, and I wasn't going for it. But what he did was, because what he saw me doing, he made me go with him and showed me the houses that he had, and he was collecting the rent that day. And when I saw how much money he was collecting, he became my friend that day, because I was like, well, how are you getting this money? I buy these houses at auctions and people pay me to live in them, and this is the money they gave me. He had my attention that day. He became my best friend that day. And he, like I said, but then he left. And then at the age of 16, I was still going through some things at home. And then I moved out on my own. But it always stayed with me to get into the real estate. And one of the things he did tell me was that I had to finish school. I had to get an education, because that way, even if the real estate didn't work out, I would always have an education to fall back on, which is something that he pushed me to do. And I didn't appreciate it at the time, but because of what he taught me, I went through with it, right? And as a result of that, I met people throughout my life. And I always say I raised myself, but like I said, community people raised me. I didn't know how to dress, but I had a best friend. His mother used to be a model. His sisters were models. So when I go over to his house, I'm going over there with striped pants and polka dot shirt, and they were like, "Come on, we're going to the store," and they were the ones who showed me how to dress, how to match clothes and dress up and things like that, so I can look decent when I went somewhere. So I learned different things from different people as I grew up. So sometimes, and that's what I tell my kids in my program, sometimes you have to surround yourself with better. If you see somebody doing something that you want or something that's better than what you have, sometimes you have to move out of that group that you're in and surround yourself with those people who are going to uplift you and allow you to get the things that you want so you can be a better person. And a lot of times we stagnate ourselves because we try to stay true to our friends. And as a result of that, we ended up in the rut, in the same situation or a worse situation because those friends aren't going anywhere.
True.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, whatever, to have that ability to know who's right for you and who's wrong for you. And sometimes we can't let go of long-term relationships or family things to say, man,
Family,
I don't want to be clumped into this, whatever. I want better for myself. Because as you see more than anything during this pandemic, people coming and going. People coming and going. Every day,
Big time.
social media, you look up and you're like, damn, like, what's going on when people in their 40s and 50s, whatever, is dying? And I'm like, it's scary as hell. It's scary as hell. So for me, I say, man, I just really want to spend the rest of my time with people that I enjoy. And that's what it's all about. I'm not about to be arguing with nobody. I'm not about to be going back and forth. Of course, we always have our indifferences, whatever. But if our indifferences lead to personal attacks and all that stuff, the hell with you. The hell with you. No matter who you are, I'm not about to do it because it's too short. It's too short, and the hammer is being dropped on us big time. Big time.
That's true.
That's very true.
Woo.
Hey, Christine, are you all right over there? You leaning back?
Christine,
I'm listening to your stories. I'm sorry. I have had
show over there. So I'm like, did you fall asleep?
I've had a sheltered life. Let me just put it like that. Okay. I had mommy and daddy and plenty of love and support.
Okay. And that's great. That's great.
However, so my children's father, I've got 6 kids, 2 fathers, three kids apiece. And both of them had the same demise, and that was drugs. So for me, growing up and not being exposed to drugs whatsoever, drugs entered the picture, and my whole thing was my first I don't know how to put it. My first inkling, it has always been to do what's best for my kids. So I was out of there. I left and took care of my kids. Now, my older 3 kids' father, my ex-husband, when he turned his life around, he was there for the kids. He was there for his children. He's always worked 2 full-time jobs, but his children always knew he was there. With the second ex, and our kids were 5, 3, and a newborn. When I left him, when he couldn't get me back, he pretty much abdicated his role as a parent. But for me, it was very important that my kids did not romanticize his lifestyle. One of you two, David, you were the one. And both of my exes were like this. Didn't nobody mess with them. Nobody messed with them. People didn't speak to me based on, guys didn't. Oh man, you know whose wife that is? And they would like not even look my direction. So, kind of like you said, I think with the younger three, maybe about 5 or 6 years ago, they were able to reconnect with their father. Now, I've always been close to his family, just not him. He moved out of town. Once I knew he was out of town, I was all over his family. But anyway, but he got to reconnect with the kids, and so now our kids were adults except for the youngest one. She was in high school, but the older two of our kids were in college. And I don't know if it's an effect of the drugs. He kind of lives in the past. So talking to my son, he was reliving his life of being this hard person, and the ruthless things he would do. And talking to my son told me, and this just like literally broke my heart. He told me, I have never known what it is to be ashamed. And he said, I am ashamed. Based
Wow.
on the fact that, his father was telling him like about his glory days of being ruthless, And my son was like, he's bragging on this stuff like I'm supposed to be impressed. He said, I'm not impressed. I'm ashamed. He was like, I've never known what it felt like to be ashamed. He said, until now.
Wow.
And like I said, it literally broke my heart. I don't even know what to say. So with that being said, it has been something realizing that as much as I tried to give my children the same lifestyle as I had, their experiences weren't the same because they came from broken homes. And then for the younger three, especially, they had an absentee parent, and you don't, I had this kind of ideal family life growing up. So realizing that my kids had different experiences and different issues based on it was kind of eye-opening. And then it suddenly became, okay, well, what do I need to do to help you deal with it?
And that's deep. And I can't speak for your son's father, but I can almost imagine he probably felt like, okay, I could build a connection if I'm this tough guy, because that's some of the things that these kids glorify
Yeah.
now, the gangsters, the rappers, and
Yep.
stuff like that. So maybe that could be my connection. But your son
And
probably,
that might have been what he was thinking, because like the crazy thing was, so the grandchildren, he got along great with them. They loved him. He loved them. It was great. But like I tried to explain to my kids, that's his last remembrance of dealing with kids, is young kids. He doesn't know how to deal with young adults.
Right.
He was, I could see it. He was a nervous wreck. So he reverted to this thinking, especially with our son. We've only got one son. So especially with our son, that was what he was thinking. Now, to the contrary, like just this past weekend, we were at his brother's house, and my son and his uncle, his uncle, he had a piece of equipment on the table, and my son picked it up, and he was like, is this a, I don't know, voltage meter or whatever? And he got to talking with him and with his cousin's husband, and they're going to get him some more tools than what he has, a better voltage meter. And they connected. You know, so it's just like sad that his father couldn't make that connection with him.
There's
They
not
had
that
nothing.
the reason the
They had
animosity
nothing in
isn't
common.
there. Yeah, well, it's not so much as the animosity that he has versus what he doesn't have for his uncle. He has no axe to grind with his uncle, but he has an axe to grind with his father, and until he puts that axe down, it's always going to be there. And
I
I'll
don't think he has an axe with his father. He
They don't
really
have anything in
doesn't.
common. They don't have anything in common. That's what it is. They don't have anything in common in the fact that they don't have a line of communication. So
That
when you
part.
don't have a line of communication, you don't know what to talk about, and because you don't know what to talk about, you don't know what you have in common. So he's
well,
feeling
yes,
his way around with bringing up something like you said that he's into, thinking it's impressing
And
him,
he's not
but
even
in return,
into it anymore. It's his
right?
past.
But he thinks
But
because that's what you
Accent.
see out there nowadays, that that's what these kids are into. He's only going by,
right,
you know what I mean? He's going
right,
by
I get
what
it.
kids are into. And he's thinking
I
yeah.
that,
get it.
well, if I can let them see that I used to be like that, then maybe that may give us some type of connection. And your son looking at him like, dude, that, what are
That's
you
not
doing?
impressive. Yeah,
That ain't
Right.
it.
That's not
That
me.
ain't it.
That's not even where I'm from. And because they don't communicate, don't know each other, and he doesn't take the time to know them, he didn't even know not to even go that way.
Right. That part.
Mm-hmm.
That part.
We.
Whew.
That was deep. That was
Lordy,
deep.
Lordy,
That was
Lordy.
deep. That was deep. It's 10:51, and I
I
know
love
Yolanda.
Monday nights. Y'all made me look forward to Monday nights. I'll tell you.
I'll take a nap so I
Solar,
can sit just a little bit.
I'm running on
Solar,
fumes.
yeah. Solar
Me
probably
too. And
thinking, man, I don't feel this complete because she still want that virtual date to go down, Willie.
Hey, I was hoping she would forget about that, but whatever.
people are
With a
asking
big
what is
little
the first.
surprise.
I
Right.
don't like
People
big
are
surprises. All I can do is keep repeating myself. I don't like big surprises. That's
People
all I
are
can say.
asking what is a virtual date? And a
Yeah, I
virtual
know.
date is one that is prompted online. They don't have to necessarily stay online, but it starts online. So tonight it started because Willie, I'm sending you on a virtual date, but it's going to be in real life. I picked a restaurant. I'm sending you on a date.
I'm
You don't have to
listening.
worry
Damn,
about it
Will.
costing $50.
I'm listening.
It's someone I feel like you can be intellectual and be yourself with. I think that you can laugh with. I think you can have some fun with. I think that you're going to enjoy the food and the atmosphere. I think that you can create the conversation with this person to be honest about what it is that you truly want. To be honest with you, Willie, I just want to see you happy, dude. Like overall, I want you to stop posting that bull crap. Like for real, that's
it's a
really what I'm.
trap. It's a trap. Run.
But I do. Well, you already said that you would give it a try, so you can't renege now that we all public and stuff. Because then I got to go back on Facebook and say that you reneged.
No, I'm gonna do it. But I was
Okay.
asked
Uh-oh.
not to do it because I told my new friend about that, and she asked me
You
actually
can't,
she
wait.
actually
You can't commit
asked
to
me
your
not to
new
do it.
friend. How many dates you and your new friend been on?
2. We just
Okay,
met. I
well,
told you we just met, and then we went out yesterday. But I was
so
telling
that's
her
one
about
real
this.
date. The first
So,
initial meeting is not a date. Stop doing that. The
Okay.
first initial meeting is
Well,
not a
there's
date.
one
Uh-oh.
initial meeting and then one date, but I guess she's
so,
worried that if I go on this date that I'm gonna like the person and not like her anymore. I don't know.
Tell her she better do what they telling women not to do. Get her game face on.
The game together.
Face on. If
But
you
I'm going
worthy,
on the date and I'm
with a
serious.
separate wife.
I want to come back and be able to talk about it on the show. But I'm
Yep.
I'm repeating myself. I don't like big surprise. That's all I got to say. I'm just telling you, I don't like big surprise.
so he's basically saying,
He's
Solar,
killing
No,
me
I
with
want him to
this.
learn how to spell it out and stop throwing
she
shots.
can't be more than a size 14. I don't know.
No. 14.
Only reason I said that 14
Why
is there was
is
the
it? Why
figure
are you
out there.
laughing like that?
Right.
They know I'm laughing because that number he just gave.
That was because of the post.
Huh?
14 is too big.
I don't know. Dave said it. I ain't saying that. I'm just listening.
I'm only going by your post, bro.
He gonna throw it on Dave.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that was a description. I said, now, okay, we got two women here. If you ask a person to describe themselves, normally a person will say,
I'm trying to body shame women. And y'all got more boobs than us. Y'all butt ain't tight. Y'all legs ain't together. And y'all going through weight crisis too. What's your waist size?
So why you letting that man speak to his thought process on that?
Because she want to mess around with, but that's all right. Because the thing is, most of the time when you ask a person to describe themselves, they don't give you their clothes size. They normally say, like a guy will say, I'm 6 feet, I weigh 220 pounds, and then, and I'm not muscular, I'm athletic build or whatever the case may be. But you don't say,
Hey, Herb, why you cracking up?
I'm 5'2" and I wear a size 14. Okay. And so I was like, okay, somebody help me out. Tell me what is that? And that's what I was asking. I'm like, what is that? Okay, I'm a 5'2" and I wear a size 14. I'm like, can somebody help me out? Because I just didn't understand them telling me that instead of, but maybe they didn't want to tell me the weight. I don't know. I just was like, well, what's a 14? Really? And people was like, oh, he fat shaming. And I'm like,
model TV. That's all you gotta say.
Beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. Check my gold and only listen. Beauty is in the eyes of the beholden. Check the mold and only spiritually you sold. And don't forget you on the path to ripping shit. You never had a fear of love, maybe because you wasn't getting it. Now you gonna go on this date now. I'm just saying.
I'm going.
Beach
I'm going. We're gonna set this up.
See, I don't see her as a beach ball with arms. I just see her short and she thick. Like, damn, she's stacked. That's how I see it.
What? Can I ask a question? Can I ask a real question? Do y'all really believe that that a big woman is not content enough for you? Like it's not enough? Do you really think that you can base your needs on the size of a person opposed to what they have to offer you? Maybe that's time for another show. But at the rate you like so stuck on like dress size and I'm gonna kick Kevin Samuels in the shins.
I don't have a problem with. I'm not gonna say I don't have a problem with it, but I don't judge a person. I don't judge a person based on their dress size. But that was what the description was they gave me, and I didn't understand. Okay, I don't know dress sizes, so I'm gonna tell you, my wife was a size 1-2. So for them to say 14, I'm like, wow, that's a big difference between 1 and 2 and 14. So is that big? Because my wife was really small, so I didn't want to judge her. So I asked the question. Can somebody help me out?
Really? Don't you teach finance? What's the difference between a 1 and a 14? Don't you teach finance? You work with numbers all the time, right? So you know the difference. So you know what you were saying. All I can say is it's on.
Well, I'm gonna do this date, and we're gonna come back and
fall in love with a big girl.
Right now in the council quarter, Willie, you accept.
Yeah. Yes, I accept it. But she got me. I told you.
Well, you get ready to fall in love with a big girl.
But listen, she has me on a dinner date. What did I tell y'all? I don't do dinner dates. And the reason why I don't like dinner dates because you can't have a conversation during a dinner date. And somebody asked me, did I spend more than $50 on my date? No, I spent like $30 on my date. My date was less than $50. That's right.
No, he had cheese crackers and wine.
That's right. Cheese crackers, 2 bottles of wine, and some roasted ham. That's right. Roasted turkey. And I already had napkins.
You could have left that off of there. You could have left that off of there.
I'm trying to be
Baby
transparent.
conscious. Like
I'm trying to
Donut
be
Summer.
You could
transparent.
have left that mess off of there.
They already seen it. They seen it in the
I have nothing, and I'm just, I'm telling you, I have nothing against plus size women. Some of my best friends are plus size women. But like I said, when I asked that, and I thought nothing about it when I asked that question. I was asking for clarity, but people went all off the hook about it. You know, oh, he fat shaming, he just, and that's what made me realize, okay, that must be a big size. But then one person told me, she said a 14 is now like regular a 20, and I'm like, oh,
I don't think a 14 is a big size.
That's
But
what this lady said to
it
me.
does sound.
So
It
that's
does
what I'm
sound a
saying.
little
I didn't
large
know. I
for
don't know.
5'2".
I was asking because on Kevin Samuel, he says like a 6'8" or 8 or something like that, 6
Yeah,
and
that's
8 or
not
whatever.
realistic.
Right. So that's why I
have
said
somebody
when he
looking
said,
like a
my
crackhead.
my ex-wife was a 1-2. Kevin Samuels is saying 6 to 8, and this person saying I'm 5'2", which is short, and a 14. I'm like, wow, you know, okay, somebody help me out with this, you know, because like I said, she didn't give me her weight, she gave me her dress size,
which is but now that you put context to it, I see why it was weird.
Yeah, because I was like,
she,
okay,
maybe she thought that you would get the message that she was curvaceous, because she could be curvaceous. She could be short and thick. She could have
low model.
She could be.
Though. See, because some people call themselves thick and they
stop. You don't.
What?
Some people call themselves thick and I don't know.
Letting it all hang out.
The new pleasantly plump. I don't know. I don't know. Because people say thick now, and thick has so many different variations.
They say she.
Don't you just want to be happy?
Big bone.
So you can stop posting.
Big bone, thick, muscular.
I'm done, bro. Wait, I am done with the basketball.
So, can I ask you about? So you already set my date up on Solar. Is my date? Is she thick?
Do you see how he asked? Is she thick?
Is she thick? Is she pleasantly? I'm trying to know. Is she? I told you I don't like big surprises, so I'm just saying.
Okay, this is what I need you to do. I need you to wipe away any thoughts that you have of what you think they're going to look like, shape like. I just need to know that you're ready to go for it.
And somebody told me I was fat on here. Somebody put in the comment section that I was fat.
You always call somebody else fat.
I never call anybody fat.
You're right. You don't. You went to Tops and you saw fat back and what else?
I saw fat back and pork bellies, and I was looking for the sign because I didn't know they were on sale. That's what I said.
How many did you see, Will? I'm going to bed. Oh. Right? Only on Jefferson, though. When you went to Amherst, you ain't see that, did you? You saw some petite filet mignons, didn't you? Some petite. I bet you saw some petites out there in Amherst and Niagara Falls.
I saw chicken legs and chicken thighs.
Anyway, I can't.
Y'all funny.
I'm going to bed. I gotta get up in the morning. I'm not about to
close. I gotta go to bed.
Closing comments. Unless y'all just want to be out.
Closing comments. Come on, Herb.
I think we was all over the place tonight.
We were, but it was good though.
Yeah, it was.
Closing comments.
The song.
What you eating on?
Cheese. Everything. He bags of chips, basketballs.
I know.
Everything over there.
Because for a minute there, all I heard was bags rustling and crunches.
Yeah.
When nature calls, I gotta feed the beast. But children are the future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. I think that's something we should do. And you know how I always like to close out? Grow up and understand that occurs in the gray area. Godspeed. See you next time.
All right. Who next?
Oh, after that, I thought you were just supposed to like fade to black.
Yeah.
No, you're supposed to speak up. Your turn. Go ahead.
Well, if I had to close out, I would say thank you for being open, for starting a conversation. As the queen of conversation, sometimes I stir up the pot. Sometimes I know who to stir up it with. And Willie, I want to thank you for being a willing participant. I look forward to you going on this date. I look forward to you giving us some feedback and asking the right question. And hopefully, I think out of everything, like helping each other heal. So I think that's important. So.
Hey, it's a lot. Who said that? It's a lot of fat married women.
That's
they
true.
Happy.
I have nothing against fat people. All right, I'm gonna close
that
out.
Wasn't directed at you. He was like, fat is, being a fat woman is equivalent to being a broke man. But it's a lot of.
They don't know what they're talking about.
These men have women sweating out here about their size. It's a lot of fat married women.
That's right. My closing is 2 things as usual. Communication is key. If you want to build a relationship or build anything with your children or whoever, communication is the key. If you don't communicate, don't expect people to read your mind or understand your feelings if you're not expressing to them verbally how you feel. And in closing, as usual, profile pictures can be deceiving. Do your due diligence. Thank you.
You say that every time. You must have been traumatized.
I sure do.
I believe you've been traumatized. Falling for somebody's profile picture.
I'm just making people aware. Do your due diligence, people.
Christine, you do yours.
You know what? I don't really have much to say tonight. It was an enjoyable conversation, you all. I think we actually managed to stick with all of the subject matters. So congratulations to us.
Yes. Great show.
But always a pleasure to talk with you all. Have a good night.
All right. And that's the thing for me, whatever. Again, I'm always going to go to the route of dysfunctions and try to tackle that, whether people look at it as negative or whatever the case is. Because if you're a positive individual, you don't get rattled by negative conversations because you already know what's instilled in your head. So you can tackle any subject matter like it's nothing. But when I think you said it, Willie, earlier, when something makes you feel uncomfortable, that's when all the backlash comes or whatever the case is. So just check yourself on that and say, damn, I'm really not going to be mad at these individuals for talking about this. I need to look at myself and maybe listen and see how I can come out better from listening to them. So I'm not a negative person. Like I said, this is just the approach I decided to go with because, hey, why the hell I want to talk about something perfect? When you're talking about something perfect, there's no area for growth. But we know in our community, in our households, we got a lot of growth to deal with. So we need to keep talking about it. So with that said, I'm out. Stay tuned for day 2. And hopefully I survive it, whatever. But everybody
good night, everybody.
Stay safe. Have a good Labor Day weekend. And we can't wait for Willie in the state, man. God damn.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear about this.
Yeah.
Y'all may see it. I'm going to go live on the day. Somewhere.
I don't like big surprises. I'm closing with that tonight.
All right. No big surprises.
Good night, y'all.
We are. All right.
Good
Thank
night.
you all. Good night.